With me now, masnsports.com, Roch Kubatko from Roch's School of Rock. What about the Kevin Gausman, Chris Tillman performances now? The Orioles getting a 1-2 punch there at the top of the rotation going?
I think so, and that's been the whole idea all along. What's interesting, though, is they're kind of coming from different directions with this, because, of course, Tillman, he was supposed to be the bounce-back guy. He's got to have the bounce-back season. I mean, how many times did we say it? How many times was it written? And he's kind of doing that right now. Small sample size, of course, but 2.81 ERA and 6 starts, 3 quality starts in a row. And what's really interesting with him, I think, is he's really become a big strikeout pitcher. Back-to-back games of 9 strikeouts to tie his career high. Meanwhile, you got Gausman. He was the next step guy with the air quotes again. Everybody was writing, it's time for Kevin Gausman. He's got to take that next step if this team's going to be successful. And he had the 8 scoreless innings, of course, this last outing. And the big thing with him, and Buck has said this before, where less is more. We know he can throw the ball mid to upper 90s. We already know that. But the key here is his secondary pitches. He's got the 2 change-ups, one of them kind of a circle change, split change that gets misidentified all the time in Game Tracker. They make it look like it's just a splitter. You know, he mixed in the slider a little bit. It's not just fastball after fastball, especially when he gets in trouble. He's going to the secondary pitches more, making him successful. It would be huge if those 2 guys can be the big 1-2 punch in this rotation.
Now, Roch, on your recent blog the other day, you were talking a little bit about Rich Hill, and you did some research. And I find it kind of interesting when I read it that he's been connected to the Red Sox 6 different times. An amazing journey to 36 years of age.
Exactly. They finally got it right the last time that they signed him. It is interesting. I remember him in spring training with the Orioles in Lauderdale in 2009. He was not good. Let's be honest. He looked like a deer in the headlights when I would see him. He was not exactly exuding confidence. In a bad part in his career where he was that phenom with the Cubs that didn't pan out. He was hurt. He had an arm problem. Had a 7.80 ERA in spring training with the Orioles, or with that season in 14 games, 13 starts. I mean, he barely pitched in the spring because he had been hurt. And he was just, at that point, we were like, this guy's not who we thought he was going to be. They let him go. 9 different organizations. That's not including the Long Island Ducks, of course, is where he was pitching last summer, independent ball, before the Red Sox rescued him. And he had those 4 really good outings in September, including a 2-hit shutout against the Orioles. I was there at Fenway. It was 1 walk, 10 strikeouts over 9 innings. Now he's a $6 million man with Oakland. I mean, it's one of the more amazing comeback stories. The overnight sensation at 36 or whatever. But, you know, and Buck said, look, he's got a really, really good curveball, and you're going to see it a lot today. It's not a pitch that he just mixes in to keep guys off balance. It's a power curve, the old-fashioned kind that he might throw 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Even though you know it's coming, it's still going to be really hard to hit. And I talked to, you know, Matt Wieters caught him in the minors and in Baltimore, so he always had great stuff. He had like 3 really good pitches, and especially for a lefty, it really stood out to him like, this guy should be a lot better than what he is. Dave Tremblay was his manager at the time. He said, hey, he always had really good stuff, loved the curveball. He just needed a chance. And I'm thinking, he got a lot of chances in 9 organizations. It's just worked out for him right now.
So Rich Hill starting today for the Oakland A's. Roch, how about the Orioles roster? It looks like Paul Yanish is here and going to start today.
Right. They had to get kind of clever there because you are allowed to have a 26th man for game 2 of the doubleheader, not the first game. So what they ended up doing is they wanted Yanish here, but if you brought him up for game 2 as a 26th man, of course they'd have to purchase his contract, find a spot on the 40-man. Then you have to set him down right after, and you have to try and get him through waivers. So to get back to that 4-man bench, you get Yanish here. They brought him up for game 1. The option TJ McFarland. Now, it's very possible that McFarland will stick around and be the 26th man for game 2, give you that extra pitcher still. Then he has to go down after the game, stay down for minimum 10 days unless he's replacing an injured player. So Yanish finally made it here. Smart move by the Orioles. They never put him on the paternity list. His wife had a baby in Houston, their 3rd child, their 1st daughter. And they didn't put him on paternity, so he didn't have to stay away a minimum 3 days. They could bring him back anytime. He got the call. He's here. Was hitting over 300 in AAA. He's a plus defender at short. Starting shortstop game 1. Now, game 2, Manny will be back at short, but Buck doesn't want to move Manny around a lot. I'll be curious to see if Yanish really gets more regular time at shortstop with Manny at 3rd, because talk about a platinum glove winner at 3rd base. It's kind of hard to move him off that position no matter how much he wants to play short.
We'll get to check him out on masnsports.com, School of Rock. A lot of times he's on 5:30 in the morning with an update. Never sleeps. Roch Kubatko.